chill.
Ching chang ching luchilai.
Omkring ham dalede sneen hvid.
Ching chang ching luchilai.
Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads, and welcome to the topic of the episode show, as we call it, Totes. This episode, as every episode is kind of fueled by you. We give you a topic every week to talk about. You tweet to us about the topic, and then we read your tweets, and we also talk about our feelings about the tweets and about the subject at hand. This week's episode is about character creators in video games and in MMOs. And how do you feel about them? What do you usually go to when it comes to those? What kind of characters do you create when you're given the choice to create your own character? What do you do? Are there certain physical aspects that you try to go for? How do you do it, right? So I'll start off kind of with what I do, depending on the game and depending on what kind of character I'm trying to create, what kind of world this is. I try to come up with something that I feel is a good balance of me or the character that I'm going to play in role playing. And the world that I'm living in. I like to have that balance where if it cuts to my character, it looks like a real, like a fleshed out character that the devs would have thrown in the game. A good example of that, is Mass Effect. You can, make your character, or Mass Effect and Skyrim. You can make your character look good, or you can make your character not quite look right. And I like to make the character look more like they fit into the world really well. Skyrim's a really good example of that. Skyrim, you can make really weird looking characters that don't quite fit the archetype that you're going for. So Lord Scalawag said in the comments that he likes costumes. He said, maybe I'm just a dude playing Barbie, but I want to have unique and stylish character. I agree. When it comes to being able to get different items in MMOs and in games, I think style is really important in the day and age that we're in. Again, I agree with that, but I'll still feel like I think it should fit the world. Like Zelda has a T-shirt in Breath of the Wild that's a Nintendo Switch T-shirt. I think that breaks immersion. But I like being able to grab different costumes. I like being able to play dress up, as it were, in the game. When I played Star Wars Galaxies, I would specifically buy, because you could buy regular clothes, you could buy armor, you could buy whatever. I had specific outfits that I would wear for specific occasions. Had nothing to do with the min-maxing of my character and what I was going to be doing or my playstyle or anything like that. It was, I'm going to go into town and I'm going to go into the cantina. It's a nicer cantina. And knew I was going there, maybe chat up some people, pick up some girls, and I'd wear my nice clothes. So same thing if I had my ship in Star Wars Galaxies. I had specific party clothes that I would wear, if we're all hanging out on the ship and stuff. I think that I like when a game gives me that type of gives me that kind of option. It gives me multiple options on that. I think Warcraft does it just a tiny bit, but I wish that they would do it more, because it can be a social, they can be very social. The MMOs are very social games, but you can have social events where you're not really playing the game, but you're in the game hanging out. It's one thing that I miss about Star Wars Galaxies, was being able to do that. The game had enough space and enough areas where you could congregate, and it was space that wasn't overdeveloped, where you could hang out and it didn't look like a hot mess. You could have a big bar or a city, and you could all hang out and talk to people, and it didn't look like you were crowding up everything. And I don't know, it was kind of cool to me to be able to see that, because it looked like a real city. Anyways, I'm getting off subject here. Chris White said in the comments, he said he usually take the default fade build, just the hair, so the character is either bald or super short hair. give him a small facial scar. Do the hair because hair animation is usually lacking in most games, and do the scar because it's easier to tell the character apart. So it is a subtle way to do that, because a lot of games, if I've seen people run into characters in the game that look like your character that you made, and it can be really frustrating because you spend all this time working on a character and you find your doppelganger. Skyrim has enough characters that I've seen myself in other people when playing Skyrim, and it's kind of unfortunate if you have a game where your clothing's not unique, like we were just talking about. It's unfortunate when you spend all that time and then you run into someone else who's wearing similar clothing and you can see the same face. That is unfortunate. And I do agree about the hair. Most games, especially with a character creator, most games the hair is really lacking. It really irritates me that in the WWE 2K17 that I've been playing as a guilty pleasure, don't judge, the hair animation sucks. My hair for my character, because my character has like really long hair. He kind of has like the old school like Kevin Nash like Diesel hair, and not quite a mullet, but the hair will like clip through his shoulder all the time, and it's not only does it not look natural, but the fact that it's going through instead of around is irritating. I think that some hair can be good if it's kind of static, but getting hair to flow the right way for long-haired characters, female characters, whatever, is really hard. I'm happy that they're adding more styles in games other than just having long hair or having long hair in a ponytail. I'm glad they're adding more styles than that. Another thing that if you're playing Skyrim on PC and you don't have these mods, then shame on you. There's style mods for Skyrim that add to your character really well. It's one thing that I like about the mods in Skyrim. I choose ones that I feel flesh out and enhance the game, and they don't make it, like I don't want to drive a car in Skyrim, but can you make if the lighting's a little more dynamic, if I can add pouches to my belt in one of the mods, you can add pouches to your belt so you have a little bit more inventory. You have to make it, but it's like making pouches. That makes sense. Making a backpack, whatever. So there's a style one for Skyrim. You can have different hairstyles, and it really fleshes that out. They also have ones that add different better makeup choices and add better flesh tone and everything. Excuse me. And I think that a lot of developers want to give us the option to make these characters, and I think that's important. I think that some games spend less time on it than others. I think that some of them don't quite need it as much as others, like World of Warcraft, for example. They didn't spend a lot of time at first because they thought, well, it's a relatively generic thing. You're going to have all this armor on anyways, that's going to cover up most of you, so let's just give you a handful of options. Some games I agree with that, and some games I really don't. I think that being able to have the options, I think, is very important. Owen said here that I think it's Owen. I got a note here. I can't find the tweet, but Owen said that he always makes a female character whenever he can. I think that, and a lot of people that do that. Kevin always makes the same female character when he's given the choice, at least with the Souls games and a lot of others. I think that the male to female, I think that I like having that option. I like being able to get that option. Whether you choose it or not is not as important as having that option there. Some people want to play a female, want to play a male. It doesn't matter what their preference is or anything. It's specifically about how they want to play the story, and it can be really interesting to tell a story with a slightly different perspective, or even the same story and just you can tell the same story. Mass Effect is a great example of that. Mass Effect, you can tell the exact same story with male or female. It doesn't matter. Proving that what really matters is the quality of the story and not the character. So let me know in the comments excuse me, let me know in the comments what some of your favorite characters that you made, or some of the things that you like to do when you make characters in MMOs and in games that let you get a character selector and the sliders. Do you like the sliders? Do you like inputting things? What do you prefer when it comes to character creation? And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.